At some point, then Amber is on the mezzanine level of PH5. So she is, it's kind of hard to explain. So the kitchen's down here and the mezzanine's up here. So she's there, it's her little office nook, and she starts shouting at him, saying, you know.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
It's not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted, Your Honor. She's screaming expletives at him. I mean, that's not offered to prove the truth.
Overruled.
Thank you. Please continue.
They're saying horrible things to one another. Fuck you. You know, he's calling her a fucking whore, fucking cunt, used up trash bag, you know, whatever. They were saying horrible things to one another. She was calling him old and fat. It was a fight. They were saying really nasty things to one another. I leave them in the kitchen to go up the stairs, was trying to calm Amber down, hopefully get her back into my apartment. And Debbie had come up with me.
And Debbie, who's Debbie?
Debbie was his nurse at the time.
Debbie Lloyd?
Yes, I believe that was her name.
Okay.
So we're with Amber on the mezzanine level.
I'm sorry, just so we know who where is it you and Debbie that are with Amber, or is it?
Yes, Debbie, Amber, and I are all in the little mezzanine area. And as I mentioned, the mezzanine overlooks the kitchen and the living room. So Johnny then hurls a Red Bull can and it hits Debbie in the back. She didn't even react. She didn't really seem to notice. But I'm standing up there talking, or I'm standing up there, I'm at the top of the stairs with my back to the stairs. And that's when Johnny runs up the stairs. And again, I'm facing Amber. He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my fucking sister." She smacks him, lands one. And then he grabs, at that point, that's when Travis runs up the stairs after Amber landed one. But by that time, Johnny had already grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other as I was standing there. Travis pulls them apart. I get Amber into mine. I close the doors behind me and lock them. I then hear Johnny's voice shouting.
Never mind, withdraw here, sorry.
I hear Johnny's voice shouting, I fucking hate you. I hate you both. You fucking cunts. You fucking whores. And I hear crashing. I hear crashing and banging and smashing, and he starts screaming like an animal. And I then just moved Amber into the next room, and I just kept her there all night. The next day, I go, and I see her closet has been completely destroyed. Racks were overturned. Yeah, one of the clothing racks had been like tossed down the stairs. There was art off the wall. And down in the kitchen, there was broken glass. Like the place was destroyed.
Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 400? Whitney, do you recognize this text exchange here?
I do.
Okay, and it's on March 23, 2015 at 6:57, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, could you describe,
Objection,
just
Your Honor.
identify it, please?
Yep, sorry, on hearsay grounds. All right, you want to approach? We'll just take a look.
So this is, can we publish, Your Honor?
Yes, it's in evidence, yes.
Thank you. So Whitney, this is dated March 23rd, 2015, 6:57. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's to Kevin. Who's Kevin?
Kevin Murphy, he was Johnny's estate manager.
Okay. And then Michelle, if you can scroll up. So let's stop at the first one. Can you please describe to the jury what this is?
That is one of Amber's clothing racks on the stairs that lead up to the bedroom area.
Okay. And you took this picture?
I did.
Okay. Michelle, can you scroll up again? And please describe for the jury what's depicted in this photo.
These are more of Amber's racks. These were her shoes and purses and such. Those were all like taken off the walls. And you can see here all of her clothes are on the floor, her shoes.
Okay, thank you. And we're up to the next one. Could you please describe what the next picture depicts?
More of the same, clothing racks that have been kind of toppled over or moved. They were like neat. It looked like it was a closet room, but these ones were just toppled over or moved. This is the room that adjoined my room, so.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. And could you describe for the jury, please, what this is?
That's another clothing rack that has been taken down and taken apart, kind of.
Okay. And we'll go to the next one. And please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
Just more clothing racks that have been taken down, moved.
Okay. And please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
Same thing, just more clothing racks that were toppled over.
All right. And we go to the next one.
And this is the kitchen area. This is the taken from the mezzanine level that I was describing earlier, but that looks like broken glass or something, blue ceramic, broken.
Okay. And if we go up, and the top one there looks like part of what was earlier. Let's go to the bottom one. I think we have a bigger picture there. Does that help with
Yes.
what's depicted there?
I still can't tell what it was, maybe a plate of some sort, but there's also a rolled cigarette, a couple bottles of water. But yeah, whatever that blue thing is, it was broken. That's what's all over the kitchen there and also next to the stove.
Okay. Thank you. After the staircase incident, what, if anything, did Mr. Depp ask you to sign?
There was an NDA on my kitchen table.
Can you tell the jury what an NDA is?
It's a non-disclosure agreement. It's basically, my understanding is it's a contract to keep things private, to keep your mouth shut, essentially.
All right. And you were given one or asked to sign one?
I was asked to sign one. I don't believe I signed it. I left sometime after.
So you moved out after that?
It was after this point that Johnny had accused me of selling stories to the media, which were absolutely untrue, but I moved out after that point.
Okay. Now, did there come a time that Amber asked you to move back in?
Yes, February 2016, she texted me asking me to come back.
Okay. And so you were living with her from sometime in February 2016 forward?
I think on and off. I think I had my own apartment by then, but I spent a lot more time at the Eastern after that.
Okay. I'm going to take you to April 21, 2016, Amber's 30th birthday party. Were you present for that?
I was.
Can you please describe to the jury what you observed that night?
It was her 30th birthday, so we wanted to make it, really special. We had made this beautiful dinner, and it was great. All of her close friends were there, and everyone was having a really good time. Everyone was having fun. Johnny showed up very, very late, and he was drunk when he showed up. Amber was obviously upset about it, but there came a time in the party where we all went around the table and said our favorite thing about Amber, just funny memories or whatever. When it came to Johnny's turn, he told this story about how they first met when they met for the Rum Diary. So, he had this story about how she came in to his office and she sat on the couch and her perfect ass left a perfect imprint on the couch, and he wouldn't let anyone sit there after she left that day. And it was one of those stories that everyone was kind of embarrassed. We had all gone around the table saying really nice things about her, and gets to him and he's talking about her ass. We were all kind of embarrassed.
And when did you leave the party that night?
I left pretty shortly after that.
Okay.
And I went home.
What, if any, conversation did you have with Mr. Depp about his plans to attend Coachella the next day?
He was planning on coming to Coachella with us. At some point we were talking about what was happening the next day, and so that night he told us he was going to come to Coachella with us the next day.
Okay. And did he ultimately come to Coachella with you the next day?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to jump forward to talk about some statements that were made, the counterclaim. What, if any, observations did you make about how the statements, we're talking about the three statements that we're quoting Adam Waldman, impacted Amber? And I'm asking for your observations. Just tell the jury what your observations were of how these statements impacted Amber.
Objection, Your Honor. Compound, lack of foundation, speculation.
Overruled, that's fine.
Thank you.
Amber has worked so hard to overcome everything that she went through in the duration of their relationship. She has really, really tried her best to move past it. And anybody that knows Amber at all knows that some of the most important things to her are honesty, integrity. Her reputation is all she has. She doesn't have piles of money and private islands or.
Objection, Your Honor. It's non-responsive.
I'll sustain the objection.
Please
She
continue with what
she
she-
was devastated by these. To say that they're not true, it devastated her. And also, we had just buried our mother. So Amber, she started having panic attacks randomly. She was not sleeping.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
These are your observations.
overruled.
Thank you. Please continue.
These statements devastated her. They devastated her because they weren't true, and they were just very, very, very much affecting her.
And you talked about panic attacks. What else did you observe that she would do as a result of these? Physical.
She would just periodically just break into tears. She I don't know how else to describe it. She was so unwell. She stopped sleeping again. She was super anxious. She couldn't relax. She couldn't sit still. It was very similar to the Amber that I had seen back in 2016 as she was trying to get out of this relationship. It launched her back into this space where she was just so physically unwell, and she cried a lot.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Ms. Enriquez. We haven't met before. My name's Rebecca Lecaros. I'm one of the lawyers representing Mr. Depp in this case. You grew up in Texas with your sister and your parents, right?
Correct.
And you were really close with Ms. Heard growing up?
We were.
And you're still close now, right?
We are.
And you love her.
Of course.
And your childhood, though, had some difficult moments, right?
It wasn't perfect.
Your father hit you and your sister at times, right?
Yes.
And your sister would protect you from that abuse when she could, wouldn't she?
We would protect each other, for sure.
And when you graduated from high school, you moved out to Los Angeles, right?
I did.
And your sister gave you a place to live in LA,
Yes.
and she helped support you?
In part, I also was working myself, and yeah,
And you're grateful to her for being there when you needed her, right?
of course.
And just like she protected and cared for you, you want to protect and care for her, right?
And when I can, of course, but yeah.
You testified to having a great relationship with Mr. Depp when you first started dating your sister, right?
Correct.
And you thought of him as a brother.
Yes.
He called you sis,
Yes.
and you had affectionate nicknames for him too, didn't you?
A number of them, yes.
Yeah. And you testified that for a time you lived in the ECB penthouses with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard.
That's correct.
And Mr. Depp owned those penthouses?
He did.
You didn't pay rent while you were living there, right?
No.
You didn't pay for any of the bills for the penthouses?
No. It's very generous.
And Rocky Pennington lived in one of those penthouses also, right?
She did.
And at some point, her boyfriend Josh Drew moved in, right?
Yes.
And Isaac Bruch lived in one of those penthouses too.
Yes.
And you know that he testified here that you call him your spirit animal, right?
I did not know that, but he's wonderful.
Yeah. You call him your spirit animal?
At one point I did, yes.
You took trips with your sister and Mr. Depp also, right?
Occasionally.
You didn't pay for those either, right?
Nope. I did not.
During the course of Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's relationship, you were frequently involved in their arguments, weren't you?
Yes.
In fact, you had a nickname, right?
Marriage counselor.
Yes. You often found yourself mediating disputes between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, right?
Clearly not very well, but yes.
And when you were in that role of marriage counselor, you empathized with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes, on occasion.
Because you had a pretty good understanding of what he was going through?
Depended on the situation. Sometimes I could totally see from his perspective. Other times I saw it from her perspective.
Well, you'd been there with Ms. Heard before, right?
We're sisters. Of course we've argued.
And you knew what it was like to want to run away for days and do your own thing and not have Ms. Heard there fighting with you, right?
I think that's kind of taken out of context a little bit. I think more metaphorically. But yes, I have been in arguments with my sister.
And you have wanted to run away for days, right?
Sure.
And not have her there fighting with you.
Sure.
You talked a little bit about the incident in March 2013, right?
Which one?
That was the one before you went to the Keith Richards
Yes.
documentary set? And you were present with Mr. Depp at Orange that day?
I was.
Didn't you do cocaine with Mr. Depp that afternoon?
Yes.
And you said Mr. Depp's already intoxicated
He was by the time I got there.
and he was fighting with your sister?
He wasn't doing much of anything. He was sat at the table. He was telling me about the fight that they had.
So
he
he'd
was
been,
kind of
he'd been
ignoring.
fighting with your sister that day when you arrived.
That was my understanding.
And you said she had a puffy face.
Yes.
And despite all of that, you decided it was a good idea to do cocaine with Mr. Depp at that
I
juncture?
hadn't yet connected the dots. I hadn't yet understood what that meant or what that would do.
That was a yes? Yes, you took cocaine with Mr. Depp after
I
all
did.
that?
Yes, I already said that.
You testified that you had suspicions that Mr. Depp was allegedly hitting your sister by some point in 2013, right?
Suspicions.
And notwithstanding that, in June 2013, you were actually joking with Mr. Depp about hitting your sister, right?
Regrettably over a text message, yes.
That you were encouraging him to hit her,
I was not literally encouraging him to hit her.
but you were joking about it.
Regrettably, yes. Again, I did not have an understanding fully of what that was. I never would have said that now, knowing what I know.
But that was around the time that you allegedly became aware that he was,
I don't
there were
know.
injuries on your sister that caused you to have suspicions?
I don't know if it was around the same time.
Turning to the staircase incident in March 2015, you testified that Mr. Depp allegedly hit you during that incident, right?
Yes.
But you aren't sure if that contact was even meant for you, right?
I honestly don't. I don't know what he was aiming for. My back was to him.
And you weren't injured during that incident, right?
No, I wasn't.
And you didn't seek medical attention?
No,
And you said Debbie Lloyd was there during all of that, correct?
she was.
And Mr. Depp's security, Travis McGivern, was there too?
Yes, he was.
And you saw your sister hit Mr. Depp on the stairs that day, right?
After he struck me, yes.
You said she landed one, right? And then the next day, you found some damage in the adjoining penthouse.
Correct.
And we saw some pictures of what you saw that day, right?
Yes.
You thought it was important to document that damage, right?
Not to document. It was Kevin's job to kind of clean up the houses, take care of the houses. I took pictures just so he could be aware of what he would need to bring. I didn't know if he had tools here or whatever. I was just preparing him for what he was going to have to fix.
But you didn't take any pictures of your sister that day, right?
No, I didn't.
Now, after March 2015, you continued to have a close relationship with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes,
And you still loved him,
of course.
and you were there for him if he needed you, right?
Of course.
And in fact, just a couple of weeks after that staircase incident, you were still acting as the marriage counselor, weren't you?
At some point, sure.
And that fall, after the staircase incident, October 2015, you claim you had seen Mr. Depp hitting your sister. And then in October 2015, you were actually still trying to reconcile him and your sister when they were fighting, right?
Yes, I was asked to support. I was just trying to help what I thought they both wanted. I was just trying to support, or trying my best to support them the way that I thought I could.
You still loved Mr. Depp at that point, right?
I did.
And you didn't think that he and your sister were past the point of no return, right?
What I thought was irrelevant at that point. Those two were in love and they were working very hard. They wanted to be together, it seemed like, so I just helped as best as I could. I don't know how else to describe it.
Your sister still wanted to be with Mr. Depp, right?
And she loved him.
And you didn't think they were past the point of no return?
I don't know what you mean by that exactly.
Okay. Let's take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 1283. It's not yet in evidence, so we'll just show that to the witness. I've got this, if I might approach, Your Honor, I have this in redacted and unredacted. form.
Okay, you want to come forward?
And Ms. Enriquez, if I could just direct your attention, we can go to the third page, please.
Do I have control of this or no?
No, you do not. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
we'll put it up for you. And we can go back to the first page if you'd like, or we can take a look at the unredacted version if we need to. But do you recognize these as text messages that you sent to Mr. Depp on October 2nd, 2015?
Yeah, vaguely. I mean, they're clearly my text messages, but yeah, I recognize them, I think.
Okay. And if we can go to the third page, please, Tom. And you'll see the second blue box from the bottom there. You texted Mr. Depp and you said, "I love both of you so much and would fucking stay out of it if I thought this shit were past the point of no return." But that's not where you guys are right now. Did I read that right?
Oh, but that's not where you guys are at. Yes.
So you didn't think they were past the point of no return in October 2015, right?
At that point, clearly, I didn't.
You can take that down.
Oh.
You wanted Ms. Heard to stay with Mr. Depp even after you allegedly saw him hit her, right?
That's really oversimplifying something that's far from simple. Again, Amber was very much in love. So was Johnny. She's telling me that she wants something. Whether or not I agreed to it or not, whether or not I was okay with what was happening, it wasn't my place. If my sister said that she still wanted to be with Johnny and if I could help with that in any way, I was going to support her. I was going to be there for her to support that.
Yeah, you didn't want to contradict your sister, right?
Pardon?
You didn't want to contradict your sister.
I don't know if I'd characterize it that way. Again, I was trying to support my sister the best that I could or knew how or thought she wanted.
And you say you wanted to protect her, though, right?
At that point, I don't know if I would categorize it as that. I was just trying to support my sister.
You went to Coachella with your sister for her 30th birthday in 2016, right?
Yes.
And you testified that you were aware, I believe, that she and Mr. Depp had fought the night before?
You could turn your microphone on, Ms. Bretterhoff.
I withdraw that objection.
Okay, withdrawn. All right. You can answer the question, ma'am.
Yes, I was aware that they had argued the night before.
You didn't see any bruises on Ms. Heard at Coachella that year, though, right?
Yeah, she was wearing a lot of makeup.
You didn't see any marks on her?
Not that I can recall.
Didn't notice any swelling, right?
To the best of my recollection, I don't.
And your sister didn't have a working phone on her that day, did she?
No, she didn't.
But you did?
Yes, it did.
And you wanted Mr. Depp to know that Ms. Heard's phone wasn't working, right?
I believe I reached out to him for her, yeah.
And you were encouraging him to reach out to her through you if he was trying to reach her, right?
I believe so at one point, yes.
You didn't want him to think that he was ignoring her.
I'm sorry?
You didn't want him to think that he was ignoring her, right?
Sure.
And you wanted them to reconcile, didn't you?
Amber really wanted him there. Despite the fact that they had had a fight the night before, it was very complicated. It was very nuanced. You know, they fought, they got back together. They fought, they loved each other. They hated each other, they loved each other. I just remember her wanting Johnny to come to Coachella at some point. I wasn't trying to reconcile them. I was just trying to help facilitate.
And you did that even though you were concerned about marks that you say you'd seen on her since at least 2013 and during the course of their relationship, right?
Again, that's really oversimplifying something. We all saw this. We all thought that we would see Johnny on the other end of this. Because again, when he was sober, things were wonderful. When he wasn't sober, they were terrible, sure, but we all thought that he was just gonna get better. We all wanted to just see the other side of that. So yes, sure, if you look at it simply, but it's not simple at all. I don't know how else to answer it.
And this was after you allegedly saw him hit her, right?
Yes,
And you knew that they had just had another fight, right?
yes.
You know who Jennifer Howell is, right, Ms. Enriquez?
I do.
She's the founder of the Art of Elysium nonprofit.
She is.
And you worked there for a time, didn't you?
I did.
Around May 2015, you actually moved in with Ms. Howell, right?
May 2015?
15?
Yes.
And you moved out of the penthouses because at that point you and your sister were fighting, right?
It was around the time that, he had accused me of leaking stories, and that was the impetus of me leaving.
And you testified earlier, I think, that he had asked you to sign an NDA, right?
At some point,
And that was around the same time that he was concerned you were leaking stories about their wedding to the media.
I believe so.
You and Ms. Howell were close,
We were.
close enough that you lived with her for around a year,
I don't recall if it was that long.
and you confided in Ms. Howell, right?
About some things, yes. She was my friend.
You called her your chosen sister. Ms. Enriquez, you claim to have seen signs of injuries on your sister during the course of her relationship with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes.
But you never witnessed any incidents that resulted in visible injuries to your sister, right?
Other than the staircase incident? I witnessed that incident. What are you asking me exactly?
You never witnessed any incidents that resulted in signs of injury that you were concerned about over the course of their relationship?
Other than the staircase incident, I did witness that.
No, at no other time when you...
No, that was the only time that I saw him.
And you didn't see what caused any of the injuries you claim to have seen during the course of their relationship, right? Other than the staircase incident.
Yeah, staircase incident is the only one that I saw.
But you have seen your sister land a blow on Mr. Depp, right?
That was the time, yes, after he hit me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, redirect.
I have no redirect.
All right, is this witness subject to recall?
No, she may be excused.
Is subject to recall? No? Okay, all right, ma'am, you are free to go, or you can stay in the courtroom. It's up to you, okay? Thank you. All right,
Our next witness, Your Honor, is another deposition designation.
Okay.
It's going to be,
how long is it?
this particular one is about 45 minutes.
Okay. All right, why don't we go ahead and, it's early, but why don't we go ahead and take our afternoon recess, though? That way we can get everything ready for you. So we'll just take our 15-minute break now, and then we'll come back and have that deposition, okay? So we'll see you in 15 minutes. Don't do any outside research, and don't talk to anybody. So that's 45 minutes, and what do you have another,
Yes, then we have another one.
it's another
We have
deposition?
We have a few more.
Okay, so they're both depositions.
Yeah, all the rest of them today are deposition.
Okay, I just want to make sure we don't need any other items from that. Okay, that's fine. We'll come back at 3:05 then? Okay, all right, thank you. right, are we ready for the jury? Yes. All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Be seated. All right, your next witness?
Our next witness, Your Honor, is Elizabeth Mars,
Mars, M-A-R-S?
M-A-R-Z.
M-A-R-Z, thank you. All right.
Please state your full name for the record.
Elizabeth Ray Mars.
Between the time that you lived in New York, so let's say 2007, 2008 through 2015, 16, how many times would you estimate that you saw Ms. Heard?
I don't remember.
More than 4 times?
No.
In 2015 and 16, do you recall how close you and Ms. Pennington were as friends?
Yeah, we were pretty close. Pretty close.
In your previous testimony, I'll represent to you, Ms. Mars, that you testified that at least in July of 2016, you would communicate with Ms. Pennington weekly.
I don't remember. Maybe at that time, perhaps we were communicating. Like I said, there were moments where we were communicating weekly or daily.
Would you agree with me that you would remember something as significant as one of your girlfriends telling you, somebody you've known since Texas, when you were young girls, you would remember if Ms. Heard told you that her husband or fiance or boyfriend was beating her? You would remember that, correct? And your testimony is that you only lived at the Eastern Columbia building in February of 2016 for 2 weeks?
It was around 2 weeks. I don't know the specific amount of time, but it was definitely a little over 2 weeks, less than a month. And yes.
And when you stayed at the Eastern Columbia building, did you stay in one of the penthouses?
Yes.
Okay. And did you understand that that penthouse was owned by Mr. Depp at the time?
I assumed it was, yes.
And for what purpose did you go to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016?
To assist Raquel in getting ready for a bead show that she was going to be doing the following day.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp be violent towards anyone?
I experienced him that night as like I was scared of him. So that's all I can say from the moment that the one interaction I had with him that night, it was frightening to me. His behavior was frightening to me.
No, she wouldn't wear makeup?
I mean, I don't think of her as someone who wears a lot of makeup. No.
Yeah, you've known her a long time.
Right.
She's never been somebody that wears a lot of makeup, correct?
Exactly. Unless she's going to something that she needs to put makeup on for.
Right. But other than that, she's usually barefaced and beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's your recollection, your best recollection, that Miss Pennington was with you in Penthouse 5 and never left with Miss Heard before Mr. Depp arrived. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you hear some type of commotion. You don't know where it's coming from, correct?
It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like it's coming from, we hear commotion and then it feels like it's getting closer and closer and closer.
Did it sound like voices, or did it sound like destruction?
It sounded like voices and destruction.
That the door was abruptly opened, correct?
Abruptly open.
Okay, so you hear the commotion. It feels like it's getting closer and closer. What happened next?
Then, soon after the door slammed open and Johnny came like bursting through the door.
Who opened the door?
Johnny.
Okay. Was Johnny alone?
There was the two men behind him,
Okay.
following him.
So Johnny opens the door. He's got his two, what we'll assume are his bodyguards, with him. What happens next?
So it all happened very fast. He basically, the door kind of burst open, and he came in very, just from my perspective, really under the influence of something, drugs or alcohol, because he was very sloppily, like, he looked wasted. He was holding a very large bottle of wine, looked like some sort of like a Magnum bottle of wine, which was kind of spilling all over the place. And as he opened the door, he just, what I remember what he mumbled was, "Get your bitch out of here." And I just remember it all happened very fast, like the door slamming, him saying, "Get your bitch out of here," the wine, that whole, you know, his whole being really frightened me. It almost felt like he was coming towards me from my perspective. Whether he was coming towards me or not, it scared me. And I just ran out past him.
You said Mr. Depp appeared to be either drunk or high. Is that correct?
He seemed to be intoxicated.
Okay. Is that different than drunk?
No, I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, he definitely seemed like he was under the influence of something.
And on May 21st, 2016, how was Mr. Depp's demeanor different?
He was, it was much more sloppy and all over the place and frightening and yeah, combative, you know, felt very angry. He felt angry and yeah.
And when you say combative, what was combative specifically about his demeanor?
Just the way he burst through the room, just very forcefully, and rushed in very quickly to the point that it made me want to get past him and run out very quickly. Like it wasn't an invite. It was very, yeah, it was intense.
Okay. So Mr. Depp comes through the door to Penthouse 5, and you hear him say something to the effect of, "Get your bitch out of here," correct? Mm-hmm. And then you ran out immediately thereafter?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Depp spill any wine in Penthouse 5 before you ran out?
Yes.
How much wine did you see him spill?
I don't remember.
A lot? The entire bottle?
Not the entire bottle. What I remember was it was flailing, and there was definitely wine that was coming out.
Would you say that being sloppy is different than being combative?
Yeah, I would say sloppy and combative are two different things.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was on May 21st, 2016, both combative and sloppy, correct?
Yeah, I would describe it that there was a little bit of both. Yes, but combative and sloppy.
Was he more sloppy than he was combative?
It felt more combative than sloppy.
And just to clarify, the only thing that was combative was the words he was speaking?
No, it was completely the way he entered into the room, rushed in, his energy, the way it felt like he was coming after me, like he almost felt like, from where I was standing, it felt like he was charging towards me, and I was scared, and it felt, yeah, combative. It felt, I'm trying to look for another word that can describe what I felt, but it was, you know, it was scary. My heart was beating really fast, very quickly, and I was freaked out.
Okay, so after you exchanged some text messages with Miss Pennington, you came out of your hiding spot and then went to Miss Pennington and Mr. Drew's penthouse. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So who was in Penthouse 1 when you got out of the hiding spot and came to Penthouse 1?
I mean, it was Josh, Raquel, Amber, and I were the people that were at some point in there during that time.
Okay. Do you remember the first time you saw Miss Heard after this incident?
I remember seeing her after that incident, and it was in that apartment.
In penthouse 1.
Correct.
So the first time you saw Ms. Heard after this incident on May 21st, 2016 was in penthouse 1. What do you recall seeing, the first thing you saw when you saw Ms. Heard?
I just remember she looked really upset and disheveled, and her hair was a mess, and she had a swollen face. Red. She had a red, swollen face.
Okay. Had you ever seen Ms. Heard cry before May 21st, 2016?
I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
Okay. What side of her face was swollen?
I think it was her right side of her face.
Do you have an independent recollection that it was the right side of her face that was swollen?
I'm taking myself back there and trying to remember like where I was standing versus, you know what I mean? I think it was, yeah, I think looking at her, it was on my left and her right side.
Okay. So let's talk about her hair seemed disheveled. Is that what you said? Her hair was disheveled? Mm-hmm. Was she crying?
Yeah, there was definitely tears.
Was she animated?
Yeah, she was visibly really upset.
Okay. So visibly very upset means what? She was crying? Mm-hmm. Okay. And what else?
Tears, sadness, felt like confusion, felt like those were the main things. that
Would
were
you
happening.
describe? What did Mr. Drew say, if anything?
I don't remember him saying what he said. I think everybody was just shaken up.
So soon after you went into penthouse 1, you remember some police officers coming to
I
penthouse 1.
remember there was police officers in the hallway.
Was Ms. Heard icing her face after the incident, but before the police arrived?
I think so.
Who gave her the ice?
I don't remember.
So you were in penthouse 1 when the police came. How do you know that they came? What did you hear? What did you see?
Because they said the police are here. So I
Who
remember.
said that?
I don't remember. Again, this is a very long time ago, so specific details are going to be really hard for me to remember. I just knowing that police were there in the hallway, 2 of them.
And in February, when you lived at the penthouse for a few weeks, you didn't hear or see any abuse by Mr. Depp towards Ms. Heard, correct?
Correct.
And did you go to Amber and Johnny's penthouse thereafter, or where did you go next?
So I just remember at some point ending up, yes, at some point we were in their penthouse afterwards, in Johnny and Amber's. At some point we went over there.
And did you go over there, you think, after the police came?
It was after the first 2 police officers came.
Okay. Do you remember glass on the floor?
At this point in time, I don't remember what I saw. I don't remember if it was cleaned up by the time I got there or if there was glass on the floor when I walked in.
Do you recall seeing wine spilled?
I recall seeing wine spilled in the hallway, like a lot of wine spilled in the hallway.
When do you recall seeing the wine spilled in the hallway?
At some point in the night, maybe after, before. I recall, I don't remember specifically, but I remember seeing wine spilled in the hallway. I remember that being one of the things that I saw that was part of the destruction of whatever happened.
Okay, so the police come, and you stayed in penthouse 1.
Correct.
Okay. It was after the police officers left that you went to penthouse 3, correct, where Amber and Johnny lived?
Correct.
Recall seeing wine spilled in the hallway?
I remember seeing wine spilled in the hallway, yeah.
Okay. And you saw the wine after the police officers came, correct?
I think so.
Did Miss Pennington take any photographs of the scene?
I remember Raquel taking photographs of Amber's face.
Okay. And now going to your description of Miss Heard's face, you said it was the right side of her face. You said it was what, swollen and red? Mm-hmm. What else?
Correct. Yeah, it was swollen and red.
Was any part of her face more swollen than others?
It was around her eye.
Had bruising developed already?
No, it was red and swollen.
Okay. So you did not see any bruising on Miss Heard's face the evening of May 21st, 2016, correct?
I saw a red, swollen, puffy face.
Okay. And just on the right side, correct?
Correct.
But wasn't it your testimony, Ms. Mars, that you were inside Penthouse 1 when the first police officers came to the scene?
Correct, correct.
And how much time do you estimate they spent in the penthouses?
I don't remember. The second group of officers, there was 2 sets of officers that came. The second set of officers that I actually was in the apartment in PH3, I think it was.
Did you hear about either Ms. Heard, Mr. Drew, or Ms. Pennington cleaning anything that Mr. Depp allegedly destroyed?
I don't remember, but I do remember that I'm pretty sure that Josh was helping to clean up before I got into the. I remember that knowing that the place was cleaned up before I entered in there,
Before you entered into where?
into the main apartment.
So you recall Josh, Drew cleaning up before you entered Penthouse 3. What was he cleaning up exactly?
I just remember by the time that I had gotten into that apartment that someone had cleaned up the glass and the wine that was on the floor.
Recall who told you that Penthouse 3 had been cleaned up?
No one specifically told me. It was, what I was expressing is that it was cleaned up before I got there for the most part. I just remember that for the most part. From what I don't remember.
To clarify, Ms. Mars, when you came into Penthouse 3, after the police officers, the first set of police officers came and left, you did not see silver candlesticks, candelabra sticks, broken on the floor, baskets of fruit that had been on the kitchen island, fruit everywhere, baskets on the ground, containers holding the spoons and forks, kitchen utensils spilled, a lamp, a little statue thing broken in Penthouse 5. I'm sorry, Penthouse 3.
Now that I'm reading this, I'm sort of remembering that there was like some stuff that had like something that had been broken, like a little like the statue thing kind of sounds familiar to me now that I'm reading this, but again, I don't remember when I walked in if there was, and I don't remember this being on the floor. Okay. I don't remember seeing.
Okay. So you don't remember seeing it?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember. But again, as I'm reading this statue, when I see the statue, there's something that's like, oh, maybe, yeah, I feel like I remember there was some things that were broken, but I don't specifically remember what they were.
You did not witness
I
firsthand
didn't
what?
firsthand anything. I didn't witness firsthand Johnny abusing Amber.
But do you recall testifying to that effect, that Johnny charged at you and then you were scared?
He charged towards me, and I was scared. I ran past him.
You didn't run past him because he told everyone in that penthouse to get out of his penthouse?
I ran past him because he ran into the unit, and it scared the shit out of me because he was wasted and screaming. So that's why I ran out. If there's a grown-ass man coming at you and saying, get your bitch out of here, and swinging a Magnum-sized bottle of wine, I'm sure, I don't know what anyone do. I can't say what anyone do, but I ran out.
And will you just remind us what side of Miss Heard's face, you recall the marks being on May 21st, 2016?
The right side of her face?
Do you feel indebted to Ms. Heard in any way?
No.
Have you ever done Ms. Heard's makeup?
No.
You testified earlier today that Ms. Heard often, in the times you saw her, would not be wearing makeup. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it possible in some of those times that she was wearing the type of makeup we ladies sometimes use to not appear as though we're wearing makeup?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell whether or not she was wearing basic concealer or foundation.
Correct.
Talk to me about the loud noises. What did you hear?
Yeah, just screaming, yelling, doors slamming, commotion.
Could you tell whether the screaming and the yelling was a male voice or a female voice?
From what I can remember, male.
And could you tell where the screaming and the yelling was coming from?
It felt like it was started farther down the hallway, and then it was coming like closer. So essentially, I mean, I don't know, but it could have been the hallway.
And so after you start hearing the screaming and the yelling and the door slamming and the commotion, you testify that Mr. Drew got up and went to the door?
Yeah.
What did Mr. Drew do?
He was kind of pacing by the door and looking through the peephole.
And what happened next?
And then the door like burst open, and Johnny came charging in and screamed, again holding the magnum-sized bottle of wine, flailing it around, looked intoxicated, kind of stumbling, and screamed, "Get your bitch out of here," as he ran in my direction. And I was scared. It was very frightening and just scary and unexpected. And so I just darted out past him and ran up towards the pool gym area and hid there.
Prior to the night of May 21, 2016, had a man ever charged at you holding a magnum bottle of wine, screaming profanities?
Objection.
And what was your reaction to this event when it happened on May 21, 2016?
Fear.
Besides the screaming and the door slamming and the wine waving, do you recall anything else about Mr. Depp's actions that evening? During that moment, I guess I should say.
Just erratic. I would describe it as erratic behavior.
Was anyone else with Mr. Depp when he charged into Penthouse 5?
Behind him were two men.
What about Ms. Heard?
No,
What about Ms. Pennington?
no.
So you testified that after Mr. Depp burst into the apartment and started charging towards you, that you darted out and hid in, I believe it's a communal exercise area, is that correct?
Yeah, I darted out and went up the stairs and hid somewhere over by there.
Why did you hide?
Because I was scared.
Sorry, say again, why did you hide?
Because I was scared.
What were you scared of?
I just didn't know what he would do. I didn't know what he would do.
And the he there is who?
Johnny.
What were you thinking when you were hiding in the communal exercise area?
I don't remember. Just that I just remember being scared and not wanting to leave that area until I was clear that I wasn't going to be attacked.
And at some point, did you leave the area?
Yes.
And what prompted you to leave the area?
A text with Raquel, just telling her to come to her and Josh's apartment.
And did you do as Ms. Pennington said and go to her and Josh's apartment?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you remember what you were thinking as you were sort of coming out of your hiding spot and walking towards the penthouses again?
I think the whole thing was just bizarre, like really frightening and bizarre to me. I don't specifically remember what I was thinking other than like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened, you know? And is he gone? Maybe I was thinking that. I don't remember specifically.
And when you say, is he gone, who's the he you're referring to there?
Johnny.
When you got to Ms. Pennington's and Mr. Drew's penthouse, who'd you see? Who was there?
I don't remember who was specifically there when I first walked in, but throughout the time being in there in that moment, definitely Amber, Raquel, and Josh. And maybe like just by peeping into the hallway, one of the police officers.
When you saw Ms. Heard after you came back down from your hiding spot and you're in Mr. Drew's and Ms. Pennington's apartment, how did she look?
She looked frazzled and just completely disheveled. Her hair was all over the place. She had a swollen face, looked like she had been crying, and yeah,
Do you think the swollen face was a result of her having been crying?
no.
What do you think it was a result of?
It looked like she'd been like hit in some way. Like it was not from crying. She had markings on her face.
Were the marks that you saw on Ms. Heard's face after you came down from your hiding spot present when you had been hanging out with her earlier in the day?
No.
You testified earlier today that you witnessed some, I believe it was Ms. Pennington or Mr. Drew, take some photos of Ms. Heard's face. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I'd like to mark what will be Mars Exhibit 13. Ms. Mars, as the court reporter hands you Exhibit 13, I'll represent to you that these were some photos taken on the night of May 21st, 2016. So if you turn to the second photo in the set, do you recognize the person in this photograph?
Yes.
Who is it?
Amber.
And do you see any marks on her face in this photograph?
Yes.
And do these marks look like the marks that you saw in person on her face on the evening of March 21, 2016?
Yes.
And just to clarify, these marks were not on her face when you saw Ms. Heard earlier that same afternoon and were helping Ms. Pennington make beads.
Correct.
There are other photos in this set. Why don't we turn back to the first one? Some broken frames on a bed. Do you know what this picture is of?
Yeah, I mean, this is Amber and Johnny's bed, and there's photographs on it.
So I take it that you've seen Amber and Johnny's bedroom before.
Yes.
Do you recall whether you went into Mr. Depp's and Ms. Heard's bedroom that night?
No.
No, you don't recall, or no, you didn't?
No, I don't recall.
The next photo in the set is the picture of Ms. Heard. Just after that, there's a photo, you're with me, of what appears to be a hallway. Are you with me?
Yes.
Do you recognize what this is an image of?
Yes.
What is it an image of?
It's the hallway between all the penthouse apartments.
So you've been on this hallway many times.
Yes.
Do you see the sort of red staining on the right-hand corner of the page?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing that red staining the night of May 21, 2016?
Yes.
And what was it?
It was wine.
So you saw that staining on the night of May 21, 2016.
Yes.
Do you recall whether it was there when you arrived in the afternoon?
I don't remember seeing it, no.
So when was the first time you remember seeing it?
I think when I came out of my hiding spot and came downstairs back into Raquel and Josh's apartment.
But you didn't see the wine get spilled.
Not this, no.
You saw other wine get spilled?
I saw, yeah, as he was, when he came in the apartment, when he was flailing the wine.
And the he there is.
Johnny.
Then the last photo in this set appears to be of some picture frames hanging on a wall. Do you see that?
Yes, I think it's in Amber and Johnny's apartment, I think. But again, I don't remember if it's in her studio. I don't know.
Do you recall seeing this photo in one of the penthouses before?
Yes.
And when you saw it, was it broken?
No.
And what, if anything, do you remember about Miss Pennington's state?
Also, distraught, upset.
You'd been friends with Miss Pennington for many years at that point, correct?
Correct.
Had you ever seen her similarly distraught?
Not similarly, but seen her sad.
But have you ever seen her have the same reaction that she had that evening?
No.
So you also testify that you saw Mr. Drew in his and Miss Pennington's penthouse. What, if anything, do you remember about Mr. Drew's state?
I just remember him being just a grounding energy, just trying to be supportive to Amber and to Raquel, and just really trying to be like the man in the situation that was gonna like really be grounded amongst like women that were sort of like frightened and sort of a little more frantic. He was very grounded and very like clear, and I remember like feeling safe with him. Like he was, it was like protection.
You testified earlier today that, quote, there are some things that I really remember and some things that are a little shady, end quote. Which bucket do the marks that you saw on Miss Heard's face on the evening of May 21, 2016 fall into? The things that were a little shady, or the things that you really remember?
That I really remember.
All right. Your next witness?
Witness, Your Honor, is Melanie Iglesias, and that is also by video. And I will say that that begins with Ms. Vasquez questioning first, and then,
Okay.
then I come back.
All right. And can you spell it last name just for the court
It's
order?
Inglessis.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Melanie Iglesias.
And Ms. Iglesias, what
Whoops,
is your
it's
occupation?
me first.
I'm a makeup artist.
And you, in fact, are a professional makeup artist, correct?
Correct.
When did you first meet Amber Heard?
April 2015.
And what was the occasion?
Tribeca Film Festival in New York.
And were you providing makeup services for her on that occasion?
Correct.
Okay. And did you become friends with Amber Heard after that?
I did.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 7. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes. I recall seeing this on the kitchen of the penthouse. When you enter, they have a bar kitchenette to the left, and that was there. Yes.
But when you came to the penthouse after Amber had texted you, whether it was that night or the next day, you saw this in the kitchen. Is that correct? Painted?
Lack of foundation.
And so you do recall being there that evening?
I do recall being there. You know, my only concern with all of this is that was it the day before or during another incident. But it says, if my text said I was there the night before, then I was there the night before.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 9. Do you recognize what is depicted in this photo?
Well, it's a bed. It looks like, I mean, it's a very tight picture of the bed, but it's a bed.
And do you recall seeing this the night of December 15 with the broken part of the bed?
Upstairs, yes.
Okay. And when you say upstairs, what do you mean?
Well, the bedroom was upstairs.
And the downstairs had the kitchen with the writing. Do you remember where the other property that you saw was? Was that downstairs or upstairs? The property that was damaged. Was that upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs.
And just so I'm clear, you recall damage to the bed, is that correct?
And asked and answered.
On December 16, 2015, did you return to Amber Heard's penthouse?
Yes.
And why did you come to Amber Heard's penthouse on December 16?
It was the James Corden show. She had an appearance, so I came back to work.
And when you arrived at the penthouse on December 16, please describe for me what you observed about Amber Heard's face and any injuries.
When I came to the penthouse on December 16 to do Amber's makeup, she had injuries. She had two light, like, I don't know how, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a medical expert, I don't know how I would describe them, but it could have looked like somebody had headbutted her lightly, so she had a discoloration here, under both eyes, and on the bridge of the nose. And she had what I would call a split lip or something on the lip, like a gash or a split lip.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as exhibit number 11. Do you recognize this photo as being Amber Heard's head?
Yes.
Okay. And could you please describe for me what this photo is showing?
It's showing a chunk of missing hair.
And what, if anything, did you observe on December 16 about Amber Heard missing a chunk of hair?
I remember this because she showed it to us, and I looked at it.
Okay. And can you describe what is depicted right along her scalp there?
I don't know.
Do you recall that there was some bruising along the scalp and some pus, for lack of a better word?
I don't recall.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 14. Do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes.
And who is that?
This is Amber Heard.
Okay. And were you just described what you saw on the 16th with respect to Amber Heard's injuries. Does this accurately depict what you saw on Amber Heard on December 16, 2015?
Yes.
Ms. Iglesias, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as Exhibit 16. Again, do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes.
And who is that?
Amber Heard.
Okay. And does this picture reflect the injuries that you saw on Amber Heard on December 16, 2015?
Yes.